What up, peeps? Tony Baker here, back with another movie review. That's actually a recap review. X-Men 97, Episode 8. We're in the thick of it now. We moving, we hustling, we moving, we approaching the end of the season, so the stakes have risen. You know what I'm talking about, you feel me? Now we trying to figure out, who is Bastion? Who is this dude wreaking havoc out here on these mutant streets? Who is this guy? You know, the X-Men are still reeling for what's going on in Genosha. Rogue is still down for the count. They just trying to get their feet together. Cable shows up. And so now, you know, Scott is trying to connect with his son. And his son's like leaving the room every time Scott comes in. It's like, you know. And Scott feels bad. He feels like, yo, I sent my son to the future for a chance at life. And now it looks like I failed at that because the future's still jacked up. And then, you know, my son is here and he's just like, whatever. And Jean is like, yeah, y'all both stubborn, but, you know, you did what was best. So hopefully y'all can build a little connection. But they also just trying to figure out what's going on. Why is Cable there? Why did Cable disappear when, you know, he showed up to his mom, Madeline, but he couldn't do anything else when it was going down on Genosha? And Jean pieced together like, oh, that's why she was happy when she died, because you showed up. Beast put together why he disappeared. It's something that had to do with timelines and something like that. It would shut it down every time. So it was like it would pull him out of that timeline. Because Wolverine was like, why didn't you stop Genosha? That's why, because he kept getting pulled out. And so it was like, oh, okay. So they just trying to piece it together at the lab. And so they all split up. Teams are always splitting up, first of all. Scott, Jean, and Nathan, aka Cable. They call him Nathan now because, you know, that's my boy, man. You know what I'm saying? I prefer Cable. It just sounds grittier, but Nathan. All right. Nathan's hot dogs. So they go to find out, they go to what they think is like a Sentinel hub, but they find like a regular, you know, residential neighborhood. So they go in there, they trying to piece it together. Jubilee is still with Roberto and her mom, and they still over there, you know, trying to be all faux, you know. They're rich, but they just trying to fake the funk. And Jubilee is like, man, y'all fake out here. And, you know, Roberto is just trying to please his parents. So you got that whole dynamic. The journalist lady, Miss Tildy, first of all, her last name is Tildy. I just want to lay that on the table. Tildy. That's a funny last name. Regardless of the fact that I add L's to words that don't have L's, like titties, Tildies. So I was just like, Miss Tildy? That's her name? I was laughing at that. I'm immature. I know it. So she still, I think she want to smash Beast. So she roll up on Beast like he down there in the lab. He's still a little bitter. Like, oh, he don't trust her. You know what I'm talking about? You feel me? So they in there cooking. Everybody's cooking. They got it brewing. Magneto is still held captive by Bastion. Got the collar on. Val Cooper comes in. Is like, yo, so just trying to get the whole scoop on what Bastion is all about, why he working with Sinister, what's the end game here. We find out Bastion's origin story. He was born essentially half Sentinel, half machine. This is why he can hear machines growing up. So it's like his father got infected from Nimrod, turned into like a human Sentinel hybrid. They conceive a child, which is Bastion. So this is why he is the evolution of Sentinel technology. So now they want to just make that the evolutionary change. Just like how we came from Neanderthals, they want that to be the new thing. And so it's just like, oh, and Nathan is a representation of that. They can reproduce, they can have children and still be part machine. It's a weird dynamic, but it's like, dang, okay, all right, trying to piece it all together. We fast forward, and Nightcrawler is a great addition to the team. I'm so glad he's back, because he was telling Jean, like, because Jean was like, she was feeling bad because she had like memories of like the baby kicking in her stomach and like, you know, these certain elements that Madeline went through, but Jean could also feel. They were just talking, and Nightcrawler was just like, you know, family, there's a blood tie there, but we can choose our family. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you got your blood relatives that you had no control over, but also you can choose your family. Like, you know, and that really resonated with me, and just resonated with anybody. Like, you know, you have those people in your life that you consider family. They're like family to you. There's no blood attached, but it's like, yo, that's my family right there. And then you got people that are your family that you could care less about. You don't even get along with it. You don't even like their face. And that's your sibling. Every time they come around, you be like, oh, this. And so basically blood is sticking in water type vibes. But I like the heart and soul of Kurt Nightcrawler, because he brings that human spirituality element to the X-Men universe, which I love, and which oftentimes, entertainment likes to avoid. Unless it's like, religion based specifically, but when they have like a greater content type of thing, they try to avoid religion and spirituality. But I like the fact that Nightcrawler specifically doesn't avoid that. He never has in this X-Men series. So I'm like, I appreciate this angle. A lot of times too, this is off course, but like, they make Christians look a certain way in TV and film. They make them look almost fanatical a lot of the times, which I feel like you do have some of that in real life, but I feel like Hollywood tends to overplay it the other way and not give us the subtle approach to religion and Christianity specifically. So I appreciate how they're writing for Nightcrawler's character. Turns out Bastion ignites his plan and reveals that a lot of people are the actual Sentinels now. You know what I'm saying? Like when they go to Bastion's house and they talking to his mom, she creepily turns into like one of those Sentinels and they just like, all right, mutants. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, so now we got to fight. They got to fight the whole community. So we got Jean Scott and Cable fighting. We got old girl, Miss Tildy. She turned out to be one of them Sentinels. She handles Beast real quick. So now Wolverine and Nightcrawler and Morph must fight and also protect the mansion as best they can and protect Rogue because they're trying to get Rogue too. And it was great to see Wolverine finally get busy. Finally, from an action standpoint, Wolverine, and they have downplayed Wolverine, which I appreciate because a lot of times they overuse and, just too much Wolverine. But now this series is like, no, just play the back, be a supporting character. We still love you. We still know you. You still mega popular, but let's focus on other characters. And at the same time, they don't allow Wolverine to really let loose because his powers are cutting people up. So it's hard to really convey that in a PG-13 space. But now that they fight Sentinels, Wolverine can let loose and cut people in half and rip them in half and just slice and dice. And I'm just like, yes, this is Wolverine I want to see. Slicing and dicing. So Wolverine is slicing and dicing. Nightcrawler with his swords. If you read the comic book, you know that Nightcrawler is a swordsman. So it was dope to see Nightcrawler and Wolverine fighting back to back, slicing and dicing. I was a kid again. I was like, this is this. Watching Scott and Jean and Cable fight together as a family, even though Cyclops did a little corny line. He's just like, let's show them not to mess with the summers, huh, guys? I was like, ugh. That was corn syrup. That was corn on the cob right there. He could have said something. He could have just been like, yo, we standing on family business. And then he did something cool in the Porsche. How is that Scott Summers' Porsche that they were in? Like who's putting the money up for the Porsche? I get the Blackbird because that's a work vehicle for sure. Who's putting the money up for the Porsche? Who bought that Porsche? And if Scott did in fact buy the Porsche and it wasn't on Charles Xavier's money, how does Scott Summers earn his money? A Porsche that they blew up and ruined, but that's neither here nor there. Jubilee is at the mall. Roberto's butler turns out to be one of the Sentinels, so they fighting for their life at the mall. And Roberto is finally using his powers, and then they end up back at his mom's place, and he's just like, no, we're not here to hurt you. That's what the Sentinels are talking about. And it's just like, man, what's really going on out here? Turns out Val Cooper lets Magneto free. And Sinister calls Bastion like, yo, man, this heifer over here done let Magneto go. This heifer right here, man. And so she let Magneto go. Magneto is free. He's released. So now it's like he goes to the pole of the Earth. I don't know how long it took him to get there. I want to know how long it took. Because that's a journey. That's a trip. I'm not sure how fast Magneto can fly, but it seemed like he went over there just in 20 minutes. I was just like, wait a minute. Where was he before, was he already up there? I don't know about you in travel, but it takes a long time to get to the North Pole. I've never been, but I'm sure that's quite the flight. From here to Australia is like 14 hours. How long it takes to get to the pole. So he goes to the pole, does his Magneto stuff, shuts down everything, shuts down all the lights worldwide, and shuts down those Sentinels. Spider-Man shows up, Doctor Doom shows up, Baron Zemo shows up, a lot of cameos in this. Magneto shuts the world down with his powers, and he shuts those Sentinels down. So it's like, yo, Wolverine is like, yo, Magneto really did it. Like, what, he saved us from the Sentinels? No, he's declared war. And, you know, because Bastion is making it look like the X-Men have lied to the public and saying Charles Xavier is dead when they showing him with the Imperial. And so it's just like, oh, okay. And Val Cooper is like National Security McGee. Is she siding with the mutants? You let Magneto go? And she was just like, yo, Magneto was right. And so it's like, oh, snap. Then at the end of the episode, right on cue, ship crashes into the mansion. The mansion just getting its ass kicked, by the way. Mansion is just tore off. Charles Xavier pulls up, takes his helmet off, bald head glistening. They never showed Charles Xavier shaving his head. I wonder if he does that mentally or just... I'd never see him with the razor because his head is clean. His head is clean every time. Even out there in the galaxy, clean bald. I want to see Charles Xavier with the receding hairline and the George Jefferson. I want to see him with the cul-de-sac because times is rough. I've seen Charles Xavier in the hospital, clean bald every time. Where's your hair at, bro? Anyway, he was like, to me, my X-Men. And then they show Beast and Scott and Jean and Storm. So we about to get into it next 2 episodes. Forget all that. You want to know Smooth Jazz Review, X-Men 97, episode 8? Well, here it is. Oh, yeah. I'm giving X-Men 97, episode 8, 4.5 saxophones out of 5. Man, they killing. And the action was dope. Outside of Cyclops' corny line, action was fire. And I'm a kid again, and I can't wait for the next episode. Man, it's making me excited about next week, like it was back in the day. Back in the day before streaming, when you just had to watch network TV week after week, you had to wait. When you got a cliffhanger, you had to take them 7 days to the face. Now we back on that, man. Oh, this is exciting times. Exciting. I'm a kid again. All right, peeps, that's my review recap of X-Men 97 episode 8. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comment section below. Also, do you feel like Bastion has a point? Do you see where he's coming from? Do you trust him? Who else don't you trust in this dirty game? Who else is a Sentinel? I want to know all of these things. I want to know what y'all think about it as well. Also, what did you think of the action in the second half? Let me know. Also, how do y'all feel about Wolverine? Do y'all think I'm on to something with how he can't really let loose in most cases because of how his powers are designed? That's why Logan is so good as a movie, because it's rated R and he can really just dig into what he can do. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as usual, we out here.